Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 2018 Apollo Intensa Emozione. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, this is the first car from Apollo in more than a decade after the Gumpert, and yeah, only 10 have been produced, all of which were made in 2018, each of which sold for nearly $2.7 million a piece. And yeah, the name itself means intense emotion in Italian, and yeah, this does provoke some intense emotions for sure. Uh, Primarily down to the aesthetic of the whole vehicle, which is really rather insane. Certainly in comparison to other mid-engine rear-wheel drive hypercars, it's got no real restraint on the go, but the body is itself functional for a reason, which we'll get to. But yeah, the car is made almost entirely out of carbon fibre, with the chassis itself weighing a mere 231 pounds. So yeah, less than some engines. So yeah, that's really rather impressive. It also has Bilstein dampers, which are freeway adjustable, comfort, sport, and auto settings. I imagine the auto setting is somewhere in between, you know, the sport and the comfy when it needs to be, but as soon as you're being a bit more aggressive, it will harden up. It also has Brembo carbon ceramic brakes, and yeah, getting onto the downforce, because you can see it's got a massive front splitter and a huge rear wing, which is easily one of the biggest on the game, with also a rear diffuser. It creates 2,976 pounds of downforce at 186 miles an hour, which is incredible, really, because the car itself only weighs 2,756 pounds, so it's more than doubling its own weight at 186 miles an hour, which yeah, just goes to show you know, how good the body has been made to you know, increase the downforce as much as possible. So yeah, at that kind of speed, it's going to handle extremely well. The doors are gull wing, like Mercedes have done with their lights of the SLS, and yeah, the interior itself is also really rather insane. You've got these mad seats, you've got this mad dashboard, which doesn't have much in the way of it, but you have a LED screen for all your tachometer and the like, and the speedo, and you also have cameras for the side wing mirrors. We'll pull it down if it lets us. We'll explode it and implode it. That'll do. Yeah. So yeah, you still got normal wing mirrors, but you got cameras as well. So you don't necessarily have to look to the right or to the left to see if there's anyone behind you. You can just look straight ahead and see on the cameras, which yeah, are really rather useful. One thing I can't really see the point of, especially since this is a car that most likely will be taken onto the track, is the steering wheel, which yeah, is a bit Knight Rider, to be honest. Sure, it's got a bit on the bottom to grip onto, but there's nothing on the top, and if you're, you know, turning the wheel a lot, then you're not going to really have anything to grip onto at the top there, so it doesn't seem very practical in terms of racing. But everything else in terms of the interior is really rather good, apart from that one bit of the dashboard, which looks like it would really rather hurt if you smack your knee on there. But everything else, yeah, really rather solid. I do really like the cameras on there. Granted, they've obviously had to compromise by having normal wing mirrors, just in case those cameras break. But yeah, the overall design of the vehicle is exquisite, really, and yeah, it really does show that these are a car company that don't have other cars to make their top of the line cars look similar to, so that's why Ferrari and McLaren have cars that are similar to their cheaper vehicles, whereas this, you know, being only I think the second vehicle Apollo has ever made, doesn't have to, you know, confine to certain design limitations, so they can just do whatever they want, and it shows, because yeah, this is a mad looking vehicle, and yeah, really rather unique in terms of hypercars. It's as well as it, not just in terms of the past, but also in terms of its contemporaries. So yeah, engine wise, it has a 6.3 litre V12 engine producing 780 horsepower and 560 pounds-feet of torque. Now granted, that's not quite as much as other hypercars. The McLaren Senna, for instance, has 9 extra horsepower and 30 extra pounds-feet of torque, while only weighing about 44 pounds more. So yeah, not all that much in the way of power, but this car's a mix of the old school and the futuristic in terms of styling and you know, downforce and, you know, braking and tyres and the like. Whereas a little bit more old school in other areas, in the fact that it doesn't have turbocharging, doesn't have hybrid system, is only rear wheel drive, and yeah, it's really rather basic in terms of its engine aspects. So yeah, I'm fine with it only having that amount of power, because it means that you can use it whereas with a McLaren P1 or anything like that, which has more than 900 horsepower, you're rarely ever going to be able to use that, whereas this is a bit more usable. And yeah, also means that it's not sullied by turbocharging in terms of sound. So yeah, this car does sound really rather good because it is naturally aspirated, and it's able to rev all the way up to 9,000 RPM. So yeah, glorious sounding engine, as we'll see when we get out onto the open road. So let's get out there. So yeah, I'm not always a fan of these kind of cars. I think a lot of them are impressive and respectable in terms of their performance and their engineering, but they usually lack any anything really unique about them, or anything that's incredible to look at. Whereas this is none of that. This is really rather incredible to look at. It's really rather unique, and yeah, it's hugely fun to drive, while also being mightily impressive to drive as well, because yeah, you can really feel the downforce working. As you can see, we're doing more than 186 now, so yeah, generating a lot of downforce, and yeah, you can see that by how well this car is cornering. Now granted, it does seem to rely a bit too much on downforce at times. If you are going through slower corners at slower speeds, you will have to be on your A game, because it can oversteer a fair bit at times. But outside of them, it's really rather good, and yeah, basically if you want to save yourself, then just put your foot down to the floor and you'll be alright. So yeah, I can get down with that. And even though it doesn't have quite as much power as other hypercars out there, it makes up for it because it's so good in terms of cornering, braking and handling. And yeah, it's still no slouch in terms of 0 to 60 time at 2.616 seconds. We're doing 0 to 105.2 seconds, and despite the incredible amount of downforce on this car, it will still do 205 miles an hour, which, when you consider this has a fixed wing and has all that weight on it, at 186 miles an hour in terms of downforce, 200 just to be able to get up to 205 miles an hour is mightily impressive. And I really don't want to know how much weight is generated even at that amount of speed. It must be well over 3,000 pounds. So yeah, the fact it's able to get up to those kind of speeds with all this downforce is incredible in its own right. So yeah, it's a really rather good balance and compromise between handling, power, performance, looks, and being its own thing. So yeah, really rather impressed by it. Sure, it's a little bit of a handful at lower speeds like that, as it struggles to gain grip, but that's my only real issue with it, outside of obviously the steering wheel, but that really doesn't matter on this game. So yeah, mightily impressive vehicle, and yeah, it really does make me wish that we had the Gumper Apollo on this game, because that is literally the opposite of this car, which is ugly, is a little bit more technological in terms of what it's trying to do and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a definite improvement over that in terms of looks and uniqueness, and yeah, really does set itself apart from other vehicles in its class, as well as in terms of being able to do its own thing without looking desperate or struggling for new ideas, because it really isn't. It's insane to look at, sounds glorious, and yeah, has the handling and performance to match its looks. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.